Wow, stories.
Am I an idiot for not inviting my stepsister's boyfriend to my wedding? Me, 35, female, and my stepsister, 32, female, aren't particularly close. I met her as a teen and we just never had a sister bond, but I do generally have a good relationship with her. That said, there's also been some issues in the past with her being jealous of me. Me and my fiancé also don't get along particularly well with her BAF. We have a limited capacity for the wedding venue, so me and my fiancé decided to limit +1s. Married and engaged couples get invited by name, otherwise no +1s. The only exception to this is my fiancé's brother, they're very close, who's been with his BF for 11 years. Most of our guests who aren't married or engaged are not in long-term relationships anyway, and they've been understanding. SS is invited, but no +1. I told her beforehand the rule we had. She argued saying she should also be allowed to bring her BF and used my fiancé's brother as an example, but I replied that they're closer than us, and we don't have problems with his BF. SS got really pissed, and I'm apparently devaluing her relationship. I think she should respect our decision, and if she thinks this is devaluing her relationship, I don't think there was much of one to begin with, and she's jealous of mine. My mom, though, sided with SS. You're an idiot. Based on your comment that your stepsister and her BF have been together 15 years. Maybe you could justify it if you were strict with the only engaged marrieds, but you made it personal when you made an exception for your fiancé's brother. This is a super petty way to make it clear that you don't like her BF. Not only would I skip your wedding if I was sepsis, I'd want nothing to do with you going forward. So congrats on making family gatherings and events awkward AF for years to come. You're an idiot. This post was intentionally vague, I think. I've now read your comments in which you state your stepsister has been in this relationship for 15 years. Usually on these posts, I would not be an idiot because it's your wedding, but you made a rule. You then made an exception to the rule, and then were inconsistent with it. It's also clear that your stepsister has knowledge of all of this. You've invited this drama on yourself. Is she wrong for making the rules at her wedding? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I an idiot for calling my gay friend free conversion therapy? I, male 27, have a friend who's gay, Ryan, 27M. Ryan and I are basically like brothers because we met in foster care at 9 and always kept in touch. When Ryan and I were 23, he started dating this man called Alan, then 18, now 22M. Most of our friends were a little weirded out by the age gap, but Ryan told us that it was normal in the gay community. Alan is bisexual, which is important to the story. Alan was genuinely a very nice kid. He was very loving towards Ryan and also pretty well off, so he helped Ryan out financially too. I genuinely believed they had the perfect relationship, and they ended up eloping a few months into their relationship. Their marriage unfortunately ended when Ryan decided he wanted to move to New York to get to know his biological mother. And he didn't tell Alan until a month before because, in his own words, he had fallen out of love with him and didn't know how to break up any other way. Ryan did, and still does, have a tendency to get into relationships and move very fast by moving in together or getting engaged, and then dumping them a few months years later when he freaks out about how fast they moved. So that's basically what happened to Alan. Alan was 20 at the time, and it absolutely devastated him. I felt horrible for him, and I met up with him for lunch a week after Ryan had left, where he told me that he would never date a man again. He had a religious upbringing, so he believed what happened with Ryan was his punishment, and he was going to stick to women from now on because of that. I recently ran into Alan again, and we grabbed a coffee together to catch up. I jokingly asked him if he was still not dating men, and he said that he was sticking to his word and told me he had a girlfriend. Later on that day, Ryan called me, and I told him I ran into Alan. Ryan thought Alan was overreacting when he said that he wouldn't date men anymore. But when I told him Alan was with a woman, he found it hilarious. I said, word for word, you were basically free conversion therapy for him. He didn't find that funny, and he hung up on me. He sent me a text later, saying that it wasn't my place to make that joke, and I was making light of the trauma of gay people in conversion therapy. I immediately apologized, and I said that I didn't mean it like that, and I meant it like Ryan had traumatized Alan out of dating men, which is something Alan has said before. He refused to accept my apology until I said that what I said was wrong, but I don't think it was after I clarified what I meant. Ryan put Alan through a lot of emotional trauma, and no one has ever called him out for it before, which I think is wrong. Am I an idiot for calling my friend free conversion therapy? No idiots here. I think your friend deserves calling out for treating the people in relationships with him so poorly. He left Alan in a cruel fashion and seems to casually hurt the people he's with constantly. I also think that comparing him leaving his partners abruptly to gay conversion therapy, where they horrifically abused kids and tell them that they are disgusting, sinful abominations, is a stretch too far, and I see why Ryan didn't like it. Everyone sucks here. I mean, sort of, but since you said Ryan constantly does this to the people he dates, moving too fast, then freaking and dumping, I kind of don't care. Like, he's not an innocent that you maligned. He's an emotional abuser who got called on it, though badly and without any actual consequences for what he does. Was this comment too harsh? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for telling my wife the definition of responsibility is for her to tell me things and not me to ask about them? This question is so strangely unique and absurd, I am almost ashamed to be asking it. I've been with my wife for 5 years, married for 3. She's a great mother to 2 young children. She's bright and empathic, and she has this one distinct character flaw that I cannot abide. And I will now present it to you here to see if my response has made me an idiot, which she alleges it does. Last night, my wife went out with some girlfriends. They like to jump from a few different bars. We text sporadically, but I trust her to be safe. She told me at one point she felt she was too drunk to drive and was going to leave her car there. We both have each other's location on, so I looked at her location, made a note of it. It was 12 minutes from the house, no biggie. This is an important note, and I have thought this in my head but never shared it with her. But my wife generally does not tell me, "We're going from this bar to this one," which I like for no other reason than being cognizant of it and knowing where she is at a given time. She rode with a friend to the next bar and then had me come get her. She had work early in the morning, so I took her home, helped her get in bed, and then called an Uber to take me down the road to pick up her car. It was almost empty, so I stopped and filled it up and drove it home. Next morning, she woke me up and said, "We need to go get my car so I can go to work." I told her I had already gone and got it and fueled it up so she was ready to go. She was pleasantly surprised and said, "How did you know what bar it was at?" I told her, "Well, when you said you were too drunk to drive, I looked at your location and made a note of it." This is where I think I might be the idiot. But to be honest, I wish I didn't have to do that. I wish you would let me know where you're going to be just so I know in case anything happens to you. Sometimes you don't do a great job at keeping me in the loop. Her immediate retort is the character flaw. It doesn't just pop up when she goes out with a friend, it pops up often. She says, "Well, you didn't ask." I had to take 2 deep breaths and respond, "The onus of responsibility is on you, the one that is going to these places, to let me know when you are leaving at one or doing something at another one. I'm not going to just intermittently check your location or try and read your mind." You're an idiot. It's not her responsibility to tell you where she is going, or has been. It's not your job to keep tabs on her. She told you her plan. Live with it. You, either from kindness or from control, decided unilaterally to get that adult's car and to fill it. You were not asked. You did not confer with her. You failed to tell her when and where you were going. Sorry, dude, but you need to be less paternalistic. You're an idiot. Only because you keep insisting it's her character flaw as opposed to simply 2 different ways of being that you two need to reconcile. Neither approach is objectively correct, and you apparently never told her that you'd feel better if she kept you apprised of where she was. Is he asking too much? Let me know in the comments.